2026 is the year of the fire horse, and it's layered in with this very rare 0 degrees Aries energy. Everybody is saying this year is going to be fast and bold with big movement. And that's true. But if you're an empath, it doesn't work the way it works for most other people because we're different. Our wiring is different. If you're new here, I'm Wanda Vitale, and I work with empaths and highly sensitive people who are learning to use their highly advanced wiring to create different results from the inside out. So today I want to talk about how this energy actually works for us. 0 degrees energy brings raw, primal life force to the surface. You just can't avoid it. And fire horse energy amplifies everything. And it's powerful. When you put those two together, it's very powerful, but only if you understand your unique wiring. Because I find that most of you don't. You think you're like the other 80%. What does amplification really mean? Well, amplification isn't just the good stuff. It's not just opportunity. It amplifies whatever is misaligned in you. It amplifies your old stories. I'm not safe. I'm not enough. It amplifies what you've been tolerating and what you've been postponing. It amplifies whatever you've just said, oh, it's fine. Nah, I'm not going to do anything now. But fire horse turns up the volume on everything. And this 0 degrees Aries energy, whether you read astrology or not, is energy in us that stops whispering. It screams. It says, but what about me? What about what I want? It's not ego, it's existence itself. It's raw life force that refuses to keep compressing. Or, as I say, it's the part of us that just can't pretzel up anymore. And that sounds great if you filter out most of what's happening around you. Empaths don't. Most people filter out most information. They don't process deeply. They move with less background noise in their system. And they can narrow their focus and push through with will and determination. But empaths process more. Empaths process more data, more nuances, more collective instability, and more tone shifts, more subtext. So when the fire horse energy amplifies everything, you're amplifying a much wider bandwidth. It's also amplifying all that background noise that shows up as stress, as fatigue, as things that you may not even have words for. And when 0 degrees Aries energy brings in this, what about me impulse, it's moving through a system that's already carrying more input. And that's where it gets muddled. Raw desire mixed with urgency. Instinct to do something mixed with fear that may not even be your fear because there's so much fear in the collective right now. It's direction saying, let's do this now. But it might be mixed with perfectionism because it amplifies your old stories. And for so many empaths, I need to be perfect is a story that's running in the background. So what happens is that there's all this noise in the background that you may try to push through, but you can't. And if you tried to move the way the majority moves from force, it backfires. You know this. You've tried to push through. Maybe some of you still are. It doesn't work. For years, many empaths have told themselves the almost problem. Oh, this is fine. This is enough. I should just be grateful. I don't know what to do. I can live with this. I'll deal with it later. Or I'm just this way because of my childhood. That's almost, almost satisfied, almost aligned, almost honest with yourself, almost committed. We have been stuffing ourselves into a square hole when we are round. We have tried to make the world fit. We did it to get love, to stay safe. When you were little, you had to do that. You had to keep your head down for some of you. We did it to feel safe. We avoided rocking the boat. And we called it maturity. And maybe as an adult, we call it, well, I'm just being responsible. But in a fire horse year, amplified by this raw, primal life force energy, it just becomes impossible to keep pretending that all that fits. All the tension gets loud. Your exhaustion gets loud. It can't be avoided. And the part of you that's tired of being reasonable gets loud and says, no. So fire horse energy just amplifies this mismatch where you've tried to be somebody that you're not, or where you're still trying to be somebody that you've outgrown. 0 degrees Aries screams when you shrink. It says, no, what about me? And I just heard from a client this morning who's experiencing this, who thought, am I being cold by just caring about what I want? Am I being selfish? I know you guys feel this because most of us carry these stories that say everybody else comes first. Oh, I'll take care of me later. And this energy that we're in now is saying no more. And for a lot of you, this feels very intense. Why? Because our nervous systems are not wired for change. Our nervous systems are wired for sameness, for whatever's familiar. So if you've always put yourself last, putting yourself first isn't comfortable. If you've not gone for your dreams because you're holding a story that life's not safe, it's just easier to stay in the sameness. It's just how we're wired. Our nervous systems are wired for security and sameness, even when the sameness is something that we really don't want or that we know we're done with. Our nervous systems will go for shrinking, even when you know that you're not here to shrink. So when the raw desire rises and everything gets amplified, the discomfort increases. And it's not because anything is wrong. It's because something is ready to move. And the part of you that prefers sameness is trying to resist it. Yes, you can push through that for a while. Many empaths have. I certainly used to, but this year makes it harder. How do we actually work with all this energy? If you have the different wiring, we're different than about 80% of the population. This year absolutely invites bold action, big decisions, visible shifts, and initiation. I'm seeing that a lot with clients, like this is the time to do the thing. But most people increase effort or force. They go into their heads because that's what the world does. Not that aren't empaths. They make a decision. They decide what they want, and then they push with lots of effort. But if you try to move like that, you're going to exhaust yourself. And quite honestly, the world is not designed to work that way. It's just that over the last few hundreds of years, it was easier to work this way by pushing. In my 40s, I would hardly sleep because I push so much. And I know you're listening to my channel because you don't believe that anymore either. If you don't understand how your wiring is different, you're going to do what the others do. So you overthink. You try to logic your way into movement. You get an idea, you push through, you find a strategy, you make it happen. But with that, there's no real traction. It can take forever for something to materialize, especially for us, because if you use your wiring, it's so simple and so easy. How do we use this energy, this big, bold, life force energy? Well, it's not more force. For us, it's not more action. It's not pushing through. It's not being impulsive. For us, it's coming back to center first. It's separating out your inspiration energy that, oh, this feels like it would be a really good thing to do. That's pure inspiration. It's separating that out from all the background noise before you move. How do we do that? We do that with our breath. We come back to stillness, 3 rounds of breath to come back to rest, regenerate, and create. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 6. You could do something like that. And you could tell your body or your nervous system on the exhale what it needs to hear. Maybe for you, it's, I'm always guided. I can't get it wrong. The perfect idea comes at the perfect time. When we come back to stillness, we become stable. All that background noise that you are naturally plugged into, you can't help it because you merge with the field. Do you understand that 80% of the population is not like you? They don't feel nuances. They don't feel the instability in the collective. And there's a lot of instability right now, but you do. So the stabilization part, the breathing part, and is so important. And for some of you, it's also about surrendering because you loop. You've learned to loop in your mind, to wrestle something to the ground. So we surrender it. Like, I don't know how this is going to work. You surrender it to the greater part of you. When your body relaxes, because that's where the magic is, the next step lands somatically. It's your yes. It's that feeling of relief. It's knowing. It doesn't come in your head. It comes in your body. Could be your solar plexus. It's the same way that somebody calls your name in a crowd and you automatically know, but it feels like peace. And when that happens, when you're stable, then bold action becomes obvious. The next step becomes obvious. It's not forced. It's the thing you know you need to do, not the next 10 things, but the thing you need to do. Or you may get an outline for the thing that this year is inviting you to step into. This is not a year for almost satisfied, almost aligned, almost authentic, almost committed, or almost willing. Firehorse turns up the volume, and this raw life force energy won't let you disappear or let it go. So the places where you've been shrinking become visible, become undeniable. I want to end with some questions because some of you may not really know what you want. These are some questions that I ask coaching clients if they're not clear. So you can go back to these. Where in your life have you been living in almost and calling it good enough? If guilt weren't a part of the equation, what would you do? What would you move? What would you decide was possible? If you stopped fitting in and followed that raw inner spark, what would change first? What would you change first in your life? If you didn't have to know how to make it happen, because you don't, what would you change? What do you want? Not responsibly, but what do you really, really want? If you won the lottery, if you won $21 million and you spent all the money on everything that you would want, how would you spend your days or your weeks? That's a really good question. Firehorse is going to amplify whatever you feed. And this raw primal energy, these rare energies of this year, aren't going to soften the signal. So, what are you ready to stop shrinking around? What are you ready to initiate? How can you be more of the real you? How can you move out of some of that doubt that you may be experiencing? What would being more of you look like in the world, in your life? Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, guys. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do that. It helps my channel grow. I am still going to create a membership here and have monthly live calls so I can answer your questions. How can you drop more fear and understand that life wants you to be more of you? Not the fear, but the real you. How can you do that?